What is up, fantasy football best ball drafters? We are back with the best ball boardroom, and it's going to be a fun one. I have started diving into drafts for the best ball mania. I think I did around probably 10 or so over the weekend. Slow ramp up for me early on, but yeah, we have passed the day of Karain and King Cap winning the best ball regular season and championship, drafting their teams last week for the year before. So this is the time when it really is starting to ramp things up. We had a rake-free palm over the weekend, Phil, in mere hours. It is crazy. But for today, we're bringing on the co-owner of Fantasy Points, newly created Fantasy Points Data, an amazing product, and none other than Grant Barfield. Welcome to the stream. How's it going?
Good, man. Good, man. It's good to see you. Yeah, it's good to get training camp news. And I love on the very first day of training camp, we got an injury, and it was like the injury everybody kind of knew was going to come. So it's great. We're off to a fast start here, Justin.
Yeah, and I mean, so first it comes out, all right, tweaks his knee, takes it, all right, took his 5 punts. So we're talking about Kadarius Toney, obviously. Goes to the sideline. We don't really see him much of practice, but then you get the Travis Kelce quote that came out today that says, like, fingers crossed, hopefully he'll be back week 1. Hopefully it'll be, if not that, then a couple weeks after or something like that. Like, that is slightly worrying. I think he's going to drop. We were seeing him at like 74 ADP. Yeah. Actually moved up like a round after Hopkins signed. I think he's going to fall to around 100.
Yeah, I think we'll see Sky come up. We'll see MVS come up. We'll see Richie James come up. Richie James is actually one of my favorite 18th round picks recently. That's going to go away here soon. But yeah, it was like minus 1,000 that Kadarius Toney would have a hopeful for week 1 injury headline surrounding him going into training camp. But yeah, man.
It's crazy. And then unfortunately, the Nyheim Hines on a jet ski stationary. So most likely that my understanding is he was just hanging out on the water, sitting on the jet ski, and someone else on another jet ski ran into him.
Could you
not
imagine?
Life-threatening, not critical injuries, but enough that he needs surgery and will be out for the season. Very sad to hear that. I've always been a Nyheim Hines fan. And he wasn't playing much running back in Buffalo, but he had a special teams role. I think James Cooks is going to maybe move up like a half a round, maybe even a round, as people just he gets a little attention and then a little buzz there. Now there's more confidence that both Latavius Murray and Damian Harris could even make the game day rosters, when before it was probably going to be 2 of those in Hines. Not expecting that either with like training camp. Like, those 2 things don't normally go together. But we'll work with what we have. All right. We are going to jump into a best ball mania. We will keep talking. We will talk through not only this, the recent events, but also, this is when it really feels like there's some opportunity to draft and get some value. We are almost full. We're waiting on 2 people. Let's see if chat can join us. Let's get how's it going in chat out there? Vinny, coming in hot with an early question, Graham. I'm going to throw this over to you. If you could look at crystal ball, would you prefer the end of season total stats or 4/5 of week 70 box score? So in general, what's more important, knowing what happens in the regular season or knowing what happens in week 17?
Yeah, definitely knowing what happens in the regular season. But, as we always say, week 17 is a part of the equation. It definitely matters. It's definitely one of the things I'm thinking about when I'm on the clock. But yeah, if we had a crystal ball, I think right now, especially right now, given this Toney injury, like if I knew what Travis Kelce's season-long outcome was this year, like that would solve, I think, a lot of problems that we have. A lot of the problems going into the season, not just structurally with tight ends, but like, just who hits in this Chiefs wide receiver room, because it was so fluky last year that basically none of them hit. There's a couple usable weeks in there for MVS, a couple usable weeks in there for Juju, especially at the beginning of the season for Juju. But yeah, I think crystal ball was, you'd want to know, a few very specific season long player totals, and that could really inform a lot of decisions, really.
Yeah, and if we were to go a year back right now, I was pretty bullish on Juju, because for that Chiefs offense, I was thinking like, all right, you're attached to Patrick Mahomes. They're going to put up a crazy amount of points. Also, the rest of that division was starting to get stronger. And I was like, I think Juju's going to be the guy. If not him, like someone will. But what we saw last year is that you don't actually need a wide receiver 1 for that team to be a very strong, efficient offense. And some people I think are just ignoring that or still optimistic that that was an outlier year because they were drafting Kadarius Toney at ADP 74. They've brought Sky Moore into the 90s. They're going after rookie Rashee Rice. MVS is the only one that's really being overlooked, it feels like. I'm just not sure, like, if you need to have a wide receiver in Kansas City. It feels like the opportunity is high, but, like, you may just not need it. I don't know.
Yeah, that's honestly the most likely outcome is that. It's just Kelsey probably hits again, hits big. And, I think this will probably be one of the last years we see elite tight ends really smash. I think we're going to see a big dearth of rookies and second-year tight ends take a big leap probably next year. I think we'll see maybe one or two rookies pop this year, but really in coming years, I think we're going to see a different tight end landscape. But for at least this year, Kelsey, Andrews, Hawk, like I'm in on all the elite tight ends. Nice. We might get a chance to get Kelsey here.
We'll see. Oh, there it goes. As you say it, of course. All right, who's in? We got Chris at the 12 spot down here. We got Jeremy with the first spot. We are pretty much split in between at pick 8. Nice. Diggs feels like the clear one. Are you going against the grain there?
Nah, I'm all in on Diggs. I have Diggs at 6 overall. I have him actually ahead of Kelsey. Just think this is the year Bills go off. This is the year Diggs, he's been nothing but a top 10 receiver in Buffalo, but this feels like a ceiling year for Buffalo. They go all in for it. Diggs in terms of efficiency, in terms of targets, like he is, a tier behind Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase and Cooper Kupp, but not too far. And I think, if the Bills hit the top end of their ceiling this year, Diggs could, absolutely be a top 3 receiver. And just, structurally speaking, Josh Allen's starting to slip. I don't think we'll be able to get to him here, maybe. But I love taking Diggs at like that 6 spot because Allen is starting to slip, and that is such an easy stack now. It was really hard to do earlier this summer, but it is getting a lot easier to stack Diggs and Allen at like 6, 7. So
I was just
I'm big on Diggs.
I'm a dynamic drafter, meaning I want to adapt my strategy based off like where we are in time. And right now, Josh Allen has been following this area. Just this morning, I got Kelsey at 7. No, I got Cooper Kupp. I think it was at 7. And I did not take Allen with the 31 because I wanted to go with a different. I wanted to go with the Stafford aspect. And I gave Allen to the Diggs at the 8th spot. And hey, that happened in that draft. It's been happening. In my mind, it is worth at least taking that chance. Jalen Waddle feels like a tier above these others with the question mark backs. Are you comfortable with wide receiver? What would you do?
I've been taking Pollard here or Waddle, but definitely with Barkley and Henry, especially Barkley's concerns. I'm good with Waddle. I'm good 0 RB. Start it.
I'm going to throw Waddle in. It also gives us a back if we ended up going with Mark Andrews or Lamar Jackson, because then you get that little week 17, and both of those kind of come to about this 32 spot if we can't get Allen. So don't hate that.
Also get 2 free game stacks here with Diggs and Waddle. Okay.
There you go. This isn't weekly winners, but hey, that's still 2 weeks that we could get some points.
every little 0.5% matters, man. I mean, you're the only guy who's been to all 3 best ball manias. You're the guy who kind of, started a lot of this week 17 correlation talk. You and Liam, every 0.5% edge matters. It really does. So.
Very, very true. And so, this actually goes back to like what Vinny was talking about earlier when he was asking about like regular season or the week 17. Obviously, regular season could give you an amazing advance rate, but like it's tough because let's say you knew that Mike Evans and then Tom Brady were going, just their 2 stats from week 17. If you knew that, you would build 150 teams for the BBM stacking those 2. And you would just be hoping that you were going to get to the finals. And like in the current BBM structure, you have about a 9.5% chance, given random chance, of making it to the finals with 150 entries. So you could know all of week 17 and still only have like a 10% chance of making the finals. The inverse is if you knew all the regular season stuff, your 150 lineups, you could literally get 150 into the playoffs. Now, I haven't done this math, but if you got 150 in the playoffs, 150 times 1 divided by 16 times 1 divided by 16, you have a 58% 8% chance of getting 1 through, which probably means your expected is something like 3. Maybe yeah, 2.
Yeah, it'd be
But
2.
like
Yeah.
2 to week 17.
Yeah.
But then you have no idea what's happening in week 17.
Yeah.
Like, I think I would take the 10% because if you at least knew you were getting a monster team in week 17, you're playing for that upside. But yeah, it's an interesting question.
Yeah, it is. And I want to flip this back to you, actually. It's like George Kittle was like largely a minus EV pick last year, like all throughout the regular season. Then he smashed. But then you look back at advance rates, like, obviously Kittle, I mean, it was something like 40% of BBM finals teams last year had Kittle or something like that. Year previous, it was Andrews. Year previous, it was probably Kelsey. I mean, that's the thing, though, is like on the same token, you have to score enough points with Kittle to get there. You got to have a structurally sound team to get there. And I hear your example. Crane did it last year with Evans and Brady, but he also had the nuts. Like he had Eckler, Ramondre, and Barkley.
He had Godwin. No one.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. That's right. He had Brady Godwin. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then DJ Moore to bring back.
That's right. But I guess that's my point is like, he also just hit the nuts. Like Ramondre, Eckler, and Barkley was the stone cold nuts running back group.
Yeah. I would say week 17 for me, because also I could then focus on the higher stakes contest where I'm more likely to get to the finals by just kind of, the random chance. And then when I get there, I now know like I've got the team. That's a little gimmicky of an answer, but
yeah.
We saw Josh Allen go. Mark Andrews is here. We've got the falling running backs that have some question marks. I'm at least going to put Mark Andrews because we have the correlation and maybe we get lucky with Lamar falling. Or do you feel strongly about Jacobs Hall that you want to take them instead?
Let's lean into 0 RB. We'll go Andrews here and maybe Lamar falls.
Okay. We get that week 17 correlation with the Baltimore, Miami.
And elite tight end.
Yeah. And so I love Josh Jacobs. I think like if he actually plays week 1, he's been a substantial value anywhere in the 3rd round, and he should actually be something like a mid-second.
I agree.
But I haven't been drafting him recently, or at least not here. I think I got him at 40 or 41 a couple of days over the weekend because this isn't going to clear itself up in the next couple of weeks. And drafters are definitely reactive drafters. And like, he's going to keep falling. Saquon's going to keep falling. I think Saquon's might clear up sooner just because the Giants have been a little more, at least forthcoming, open to having negotiations. It seems like with the Raiders, there's almost like an emotional aspect to this where Josh Jacobs is making some public plays, leaving Las Vegas, saying he's not returning anytime soon. I think Saquon and the Giants are a little more wanting to get something done. But yeah, I've put the pause on Jacobs unless I'm getting him like, with some falling value.
Yeah, I agree. He might fall here. I mean, Jacobs, I've been playing a little bit on drafters, playing a little bit on DraftKings. I mean, he's starting to really fall in PPR too. So yeah, you're right. Jacobs boarded a plane. There was a report this morning. I saw it early this morning. It was one of the first tweets I saw. Was Jacobs is like on a plane leaving Vegas intentionally. Like it definitely seems personal. I'm with you though. If he plays week 1, Josh Jacobs should be going in that Jonathan Taylor, Nick Chubb, Tony Pollard tier, maybe even ahead of those guys. Like he was nothing but an absolute bell cow last year, and he was fantastic. One of the things I like though, especially right now in this ADP environment, is like there is going to be some falling running backs, and just starting 2 receivers just allows you to have that later flexibility to draft some of the falling running backs. It didn't happen here at the turn, but we might be able to, scoop up some value here in a little bit too.
All right. ETN, top of the board, ADP, position of need would probably be my pick, but if you want to keep a 0 RB, we can go with the Hopkins, BMW. What are you thinking?
Nah, I like ETN here.
Okay. Yeah. And I think it's interesting because for ETN, if you knew he had the same kind of role as last year, he's just a solid 4th round pick. He's on an up. He's on an up and I don't know, up and coming is not the right word, but improving because they're already there. I'd say Jacksonville offense that has the ability to be a bit more of like a top 5, top 7 offense. Full expectation is that he's going to have the goal line work. He's going to be the primary back. In college, we always, we saw the pass catching ability even with Trevor Lawrence there, and we just didn't see it come to fruition in that 1 year that he played. But I don't know. There is upside if he does take on that role. I get the Tank Bigsby aspect. Tank was actually a pretty decent catcher in college, a receiver in college, and could take on a little more of that role. I don't know. I like Etienne. He's not a target of mine, but I'm happy to take him on a build like this.
Yeah, same. He's not a massive target of mine, but now he's at a point where he's just projects so well in the 4th round. And the discourse around him this offseason has been mind-boggling to me. He missed an entire year coming off of foot injury, which, by the way, a foot injury which has ruined a lot of running backs' careers, and did nothing but come back and run for 1,100 yards. He got a little unlucky in the touchdown department, and I think we've kind of missed typecast him as a receiving back. While he caught nearly 50 balls in his last year in Clemson, he mainly was running just little check downs or screens or flares in the pass game. He wasn't out there running, any insane route. So if anything, I think Bigsby will profile a little bit more as their, receiving down back or, passing down, blocking back. But yeah, I think Etienne is still the clear early down back. And, another year in this system, another year with Trevor Lawrence, another year of growth. I think we could see Etienne, jump from being what he was last year, RB21 in points per game, closer to, RB15, RB12, if he hits in the touchdown department.
Yep. I like that. We got a couple picks before ours, but I see Craig asking about the Saquon and Giants situation. Yes, the deadline has passed, so they can no longer renegotiate a deal. So what that kind of means is, from my understanding, there's just virtually no leverage in this situation by the players. They can just kind of sit out, and I'm not sure if it's more of just a way to punish the team. They have the ability to kind of fake or have an injury, and then they get paid by not playing. But it's definitely questionable for what is the larger leverage on an individual situation here.
I think if we want to look at it, individual, Barkley probably has a little more leverage, but like you said, the negotiations have passed. I mean, there's really not much Barkley can do besides either sit out or play on the tag. He's also got to eat what is it, $800,000 a week if he doesn't play. I mean, it's it's significant. So,
and for running backs, that who's to say you're going to get a great? Oof.
Oh my gosh, yeah,
love that. Get that. Thought. Just lock that in before it realizes it was a mistake. And City Mirror wanted Mike Williams instead. There we go.
We basically just got 2 4th-round picks right here. So
yeah, back. Happy that. I mean, there was a chance if we didn't go ETN, we may have gone Mike Williams.
I know.
Hopkins,
I
Williams, McLaurin are all kind of a wash. Yeah.
Yeah. I liked him there too. Yeah. I was actually going to ask you, we went ETN obviously, but how do you have that range? I think that's maybe the toughest pocket for receivers this year, Williams, Hopkins, especially now with Hopkins in Tennessee. How do you see that range?
Yeah, for me, I think it has to do with what my team is looking like. Do I want to go Williams here and get a Chargers stack going? Do I want to go Hopkins and leave myself maybe a three wide receiver build by grabbing Tannehill later? Terry is a little behind the others, but it's a similar one where it's hey, am I going Sam Howell in a three wide receiver build? So it's almost when I'm not really sure on the wide receiver, I'm thinking about the larger structure of my team and where I can get that stack partner or the core or the bring backs week 17 later on. The other aspect I'll go to is I prefer the wide receivers that are on the stronger offenses, because I think when we're drafting these guys right now, we're doing it on a based off projectable volume, what we expect to happen. You throw in an injury or something. And Mike Williams is a bad example because Mike Williams doesn't actually excel with an injury we saw last year. But for a lot of guys, Keenan Allen's actually a better example where if Mike Williams goes down, Keenan Allen could have 12 receptions, 12 targets a game, maybe something 8, 9 receptions a game, insane amounts. So I'm trying to bake that in as well. But hey, Keenan Allen 37 versus Mike Williams at 56. Whew.
Yeah, you can't complain there. I'm happy with that. What we got here?
Interesting part of the draft right now, because a lot of these running backs are carrying with them some new question marks, and I haven't normally been drafting a lot of these.
I the only one I love here is Sanders.
Okay.
A little week 17 stack for ETN.
Okay.
We could also draft Lawrence if you wanted to.
We could because of ETN, but then we'd be going Zay Jones later on too. Yeah. I don't know. If I don't have Ridley or Kirk, I try to avoid it probably.
That's fine.
So I've got Sanders here. We got the correlation aspect. Running back with Sanders and ETN isn't the best, but like still kind of works. We'll take Sanders.
Yeah, I think it works. I think it works for our build. I mean, Mike Williams was just a gift there. So,
but so talking about Sanders, because he's also a guy that I've kind of seen as like a, prototypical dead zone back. We believe that he's being brought in. He has not been a good pass catcher since his rookie year. I think it's a little foolish of us to believe coach speak that that's just magically going to happen this year. Yes, they were very efficient in running last year. Both Deonta Foreman and Chuba had like solid games, but like it's not supposed to be a good team. I don't know. Where's your bullishness coming from, Miles?
Yeah, I like Sanders a little bit more than you. Caught 50 balls as a rookie, then you're right. Everything dropped off. He really struggled with drops and injuries in 2020. And then they switched to Hurts. It was a completely different offense. So, they just stopped throwing to running backs. Especially last year, you add AJ Brown, you get Devonta Smith, you get Dallas Goedert. Why in the world would you ever throw to Miles Sanders? So on the one hand, yeah, I don't think Sanders is anything special as a pass catcher, but I think projection wise, he projects as, 40 to 45 receptions as the team's workhorse back. Panthers offensive line is certainly a downgrade from the Eagles last year, but they're really good still. Like they were top 12, in yards before contact, according to fantasy points data. Like they were a significantly better offensive line last year than people know. And then you add in Frank Reich. Frank Reich is an outside zone guy. Miles Sanders has always been an outside zone runner. I think it's a perfect marriage. In this situation, though, like Miles Sanders, and for him to absolutely smash ADP, like I'm with you. Like he's probably not going to be one of the highest advanced running backs. I'd be stunned if he was, but like on our build in the 6th round, we need an RB2. We're locking in some volume with Sanders. I definitely don't hate that.
Awesome. I'm game. And when you look at the other running backs that we were having to consider in that time, Dobbins starting off on the pup list, and Dobbins has not been as vocal about it, but there's a situation that Dobbins is in a very similar situation to Saquon and Josh Jacobs, and he actually has some injury aspect that he could actually use to his advantage and get some leverage by, my leg isn't feeling great. I need to sit out. Now he's getting paid to sit out, keeping his legs fresh and maybe getting you another contract later on. It's questionable. Yeah.
It's questionable. And it's, Dobbins has just not been anything close to what, Jacobs and Barkley have been in the NFL. Dobbins has never had 20 carries in an NFL game. Like he's always been a part-time back. I think I've been fading Dobbins in that range all year. Like I've wanted no part of his ADP in the 60s. I was hoping it would back up now, with the Gordon signing and maybe people getting a little afraid that he's on the PUP, but man, Dobbins is still, he's still going, in that mid 60s range. It's wild to me.
Yeah. Trevor Lawrence does go here to a naked Trevor Lawrence. I thought we had a chance at actually getting him. Yeah. We do not need a tight end. Probably just need some more wide receivers.
We could go QJ, but this is one of the things with Williams. Like, is QJ and Mike Williams negatively correlated? Like, that's tricky.
I don't like grabbing them both in the same team without Justin
Lawrence.
Herbert.
Without Herbert. Yeah.
So
for this team, I think they would.
Treylon, Pickens, Pitt, Seattle, Tennessee, Houston. No immediate correlation. I think I do like Treylon the most of these. Disagree?
I'd have Pickens, but you're straight. Yeah.
No, let's do it. What's the argument for Pickens? I know there's I want to give credit to the right person. I don't know, but I've heard a couple people talking about it, how with Pickens, like just does not line up with what Pickett's strengths are. Pickens more of a deep ball threat, and Pickett is not actually efficient downfield. What's the pro Pickens argument here?
Yeah, it's just in this situation, it's Pickens versus Burks. I'm really afraid of Burks, man. Like,
okay, so there you go. Give me the anti-Burks.
Yeah, it's really was more of an anti-Burks thing. Like, I'm not super into Pickens, but Burks is more just somebody I'm avoiding. Somebody I've been avoiding all summer, and especially now with Hopkins. Like Hopkins, Hopkins is still an elite target earner, especially against zone coverage. Titans are going to be around 30 to 33 dropbacks per game. I think Hopkins is going to be in the 7, 8, 9 target, range per game. And for me, I just, unless Hopkins gets hurt, I really don't see that big of a role for Burks here outside of like a part-time-ish role. I would much rather take, year two quarterback.
Is he not going to be playing in 2 wide receiver sets?
Man, he might not. I mean, I think he'll be playing in 2 wide receiver sets. I didn't mean to say part-time. I meant to just say, significantly lower target share role.
Part-time on my fantasy team with his storage, you're saying.
I didn't, I'm sorry. I misspoke on part-time, but yeah, man, I was really just, I'm really out on Burks here. We might actually get him here back at the turn. Nope.
Chris is watching the stream. Chris is going. He says, these guys are talking about Josh Jacobs. I'm taking him. These guys are talking Traylon Burks. I'm taking Traylon Burke. I see you there, Chris.
I mean, what's Burks' path? Like, he's got to get Hopkins injury, right?
I think he's going to have a large ADOT. So I think Hopkins is going to play the more underneath. What we saw the last 2 years out of Hopkins is that he's been far more efficient, kind of close to the line of scrimmage and just being that target hog. And I think this actually will open up the field for Burks. I think most important is that this team is going to try to compete all year. Tannehill's most likely going to play majority of the year, I think. So I think that's where my bullishness comes. I also think Burks is just a fantastic talent. QJ falling here, though. I mean,
we're Tua. You want to get Waddle Tua? We have no other stacks. I don't love Pickett with Pickens.
Okay.
I know we just took Pickett.
Ooh, missing out on that QJ value.
You got the big Mike value, though.
Yeah.
It's up to you. Your call.
Where's Tyreek? Okay. Just making sure. If the Tyreek owner had drafted a QB already, then maybe I could have convinced to do it and maybe gotten that fall. But no, we'll grab Tua. That's where we've been supposed to be grabbing Tua the entire time. And I think you sold me most on when we looked and saw, if we don't grab that, then what are we doing with this QB position?
Yeah, we don't have anything else at QB here.
It's kind of rough. Yeah.
I do love this structurally. I love this team right now, though. I mean,
okay,
looking good.
So,
just going real quick back to Burks and Titans.
Yeah.
Burks was not a high ADOT player in college, though. Most of his production came around the line of scrimmage, and I'm concerned that they're going to try to shoehorn him into this role that he's not meant to play. I mean, he's 2 wide receiver sets, 3 wide receiver sets, much better with Hopkins. And now they'll, in three receiver sets, Burks can play outside, and they'll try to move Hopkins in the slot to get him against some linebackers, especially against zone looks. Gives the Titans a lot more versatility, but to me, man, I think the real boost here is to Derrick Henry. Being able to not stack boxes, being able to actually be afraid of a wide receiver outside. You got 2 guys in Hopkins and Burks that do play well off each other. I think in terms of their skill sets, especially in the low ADOT range. Man, I think Henry in his age 29 season is going to buck the age curves again. He's been staring at us in the 3rd round all year. I've been a coward plenty of times and not taking Henry when I should have, but now I'm correcting that, and I'm smashing some Henry.
Yeah, and he's moved up to that 2-3 turn, partly because guys like Barkley, guys like Jacobs, guys like Ramondre all falling down.
He always projected well, though. We just have he's 29. The Titans' offensive line is probably not very good, but now you add in Hopkins and you add in an actual piece who can garner coverage and be corners to actually be afraid of. I think that really matters for Henry.
Javonte went at the 92. This is a player that I've been off. ETR has been off of for most of the summer. But report after report just keeps coming that he might be healthier than we expect. He's not going to be on the pup. Now, KJ Hamler wasn't on the pup last year either. Still was only doing wind sprints on the sidelines. But it's hard to ignore this. And someone asked earlier, where do you see Javonte Cohen? Do you think he's going to be we're trying to pull up where it is. Blizzy asking, do you think he end up closes above Dobbins? What's your Javonte thought here?
Yeah, I'm with you on Javonte. I've been largely fading him too. Was taking some Samaje, and I'm kind of picked back up since his ADP's dipped. My biggest thing with Javonte, man, is he didn't just have the ACL, he didn't just have the MCL, but our Edwin Porras, physical therapist for the Minnesota Twins organization, I had him on our podcast this past 2 weeks ago, and he was saying Javonte had he had a PLC tear as well, which really complicates his return. The Broncos were linked to Dalvin Cook a couple of weeks ago. That that would kind of die down when Cook got cut. There's been some other news to come out about Dalvin Cook here recently. But yeah, man, I've been I was largely fading Javonte. I think to answer his question, though, I think we'll see Javonte really start to creep up, and especially if Dobbins doesn't show up for camp or he still has this lingering hamstring injury, whatever the case may be. yeah, I could definitely see Javonte closing above Dobbins. They should be a lot closer.
Okay.
They should absolutely be a lot closer.
We are back in the clock. Charbonnet was going to be interesting with the Pitt correlation and just fitting our roster. Gibson is top ADP. You also have the Dylan, Samaje. We're at that wide receiver drop off. We already have a good QB.
Definitely a back here.
Okay.
Definitely a back here. I like your Q in that order for our team.
Good. I like Gibson too. I do think like the whole Gibson Brian Robinson thing is pretty interesting.
Yeah. I think you were on this too. I saw your tweet. You like stacking Washington backfield too, right?
Yeah. I'm in general just bullish on Washington as a whole. Nice. I think whether it's Sam Howell or whether it's Jacoby, I think either of them in that system,
I agree.
With Eric Bieniemy is just going to be a stronger team. Terry's honestly the one who's now just become very expensive. But it was taking him earlier. But now, like, he's got an ADP that's higher than, I think, one above Mike Williams and one behind DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, I loved McLaurin when he was going around Christian Kirk around like 48-50. Yeah. You know, especially I've been taking a lot of Debo, so Debo McLaurin was very popular for me. But yeah, man, I'm with you. By the way, Jacoby Brissett, I was looking through some of the data that we have at Fantasy Points. From a clean pocket perspective, like if you just normalize for all clean pocket situations, no pressure, Jacoby Brissett in terms of catchable throw rate and accuracy, both last year and in 2021, was among the top. Like he was number one in catchable throw rate in 2021 on a different team, and then last year was really, I think he was like fourth or fifth if you reduce some of the sample size down to like 250 dropbacks. So Brissett was really good last year from an accuracy standpoint. And then you mix in Sam Howell, like. I like Sam Howell coming out as a prospect. He can, obviously make things happen, in the pocket in terms of his mobility, just kind of extending plays. That's something, early in the year we saw Carson Wentz doing, but, that he turned back into Carson Wentz. So yeah, man, I'm definitely with you on Washington. What do we think here though? I do like a Washington backfield sack. I saw you sneak in Pat Freiermuth, which I like for this team too.
Yeah, so I'm throwing these in. I think Freiermuth could make sense with a 2 tight end build, and we already have or probably would grab Pickett later on too, so you're getting that stack. But I'm also I just don't love after you grab Mark Andrews going with another Pat Freiermuth. Like,
how many times is he actually going to make our roster here?
Yeah, and like these are legitimate running backs that could be our stud running back on the year.
So for me, it's between B-Rob and A-Chain then.
Okay. A-Chain has the correlation with Mark Andrews
and team stack.
I think we got to go with A-Chain. I forgot we drafted Tua.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah,
or B-Rob.
B-Rob. You know what? Let's go Jeff Wilson later. We'll do that.
All right, we took Brian Robinson. Yeah, I'm okay. Brian Robinson just
close, man.
It does. Brian Robinson just feels on his own like a better pick than A-Chain.
For underdog, absolutely. I haven't been taking A-Chain at all on underdog really, but for this team build, and we started 0 RB, we had Tua, we had Waddle. That was legit close, but man, B-Rob is like my second most drafted running back. Like, I think in this offense, he fits absolutely perfectly as the early down inside zone runner who gets all the goal line stuff. Antonio Gibson will be the passing down guy. It's one of those things where, like, in these types of backfields, I love stacking because it's a clear scenario. We've got 2 players in 2 totally different roles. It's not like, if we look at the Packers offense, A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones have been typically negatively correlated. We want Aaron Jones getting touchdowns near the red zone too. I think B-Rob will be their goal line guy. I absolutely love him in this offense with Bieniemy. Further year away removed from, his incident. I love B-Rob coming out. I'm in. But for this team, A-Chain was like, to me, A-Chain, you've got to bank on touchdowns. And I really don't think he has too much of a touchdown ceiling in this offense this year, especially with Jeff Wilson and Raheem Mostert. So.
All right. I want to show this. If you haven't read the article from summer last year, it comes out of some conversations that Leone and I were having around handcuffs, and then he did some great analysis actually looking into is handcuffs a viable strategy for best ball? Are you giving up advance rate? What are the best types to do it? So, for example, would you want to do it with Saquon Barkley and Matt Breida, or is it better to do it with Gibson and Robinson? And it is Gibson Robinson. I think one of the examples he used was actually the Miami backs, which went off when they were doing this analysis. And who were those two backs? It's already, my memory is fuzzy.
Was this for last year or 2021?
Maybe this was 2 years ago. So maybe it was Edwin.
Was it Miles
Edmonds
Gaskin?
Connor, I was thinking. Yeah.
Was it Gaskin? Oh.
No, I think I think I just had the Miami memory incorrect.
Okay.
And I was thinking of the Edmonds Connor, who were like similarly drafted in like the 10th, 11th round. We didn't know who it was. But this ambiguous aspect is where there's a lot of value. And I think what we're looking at with the Washington ones falls directly into the ambiguous. But highly recommend that article.
Yeah, I mean, it comes back to, we've been trained before best ball. We've been trained to play fantasy through a seasonal lens, and it's like, yeah, you would never take Gibson and Robinson on the same seasonal team. Like, ideally, you probably want one of them, to go off. But like, no, in best ball, like, it doesn't really matter. Like, especially when it comes down to ADP, if like these guys are values relative to the projected volume and how the offense projects, like, I think it makes a lot of sense. I think you've been tweeting about this too. I'm with you just in terms of how ADP lays out this year, and especially now. But like, I want no wide receivers in rounds 9 and 10.
Yeah.
If I can, the only one I really want is Jameson Williams. Like, that's kind of the only guy I've been taking through there. I think he's the only guy who has like legitimate projectable upside to just like smash ADP in terms of range of outcomes. But I really like how this played out, and now we're actually getting a little bit of receiver value if we want it.
This is where I'm back on some wide receivers. Yeah. So top of the board is Jacoby and Rondale. I think these are the two targets here. Argument for Jacoby is if Hunter Renfrow actually does get cut or traded, Jacoby's now role is more secure. He should be actually a few rounds higher. Rondale, we could go with a Kyler later on as our QB. That. We didn't go Marquise Brown. So I'd be good with either of these. Preference?
Rondale with Kyler. I've been hammering Kyler. I think you're on that too.
What are your thoughts? I mean, so first off, like, if we went Tua and Kyler, are we good there? Is that safe enough, or you want a 3 QB build?
We should be. I was talking to Edwin. In terms of range of when Kyler should return, it's week 4 or 5. In terms of like what historical returns look like for his type of injury. Apparently he's pushing to play week 1, which I don't believe will happen. But yeah, man, I think Kyler week 4, week 5 has always been kind of the projected outcome, unless he has a setback, which he is not. It seems like he's not well ahead, but he's right on schedule. So yeah, man, I've been on Kyler. I was hammering him at ADP 175, 180. He's really starting to come up in the 150s and 160s. I've had him ranked in like the 135, 140 range all off season. So yeah, man, I've been on Kyler for sure. And I like some of the late round picks you can get with Cardinals too.
I am looking right now at Trey McBride, little last rounder. Looking right now to see like, hey, who's our Kyler competition? Marquise Brown is right here. Penny Pendu. If he wants Kyler, he can draft him now. Otherwise, we'll have 152 before him. Yep. Chris in chat, who is Dash Boy, is saying he wanted to get Connor and Kyler as a stack, whether he's doing it a little sarcastically. I don't think we're going to take Kyler at the 137, so he'll get a chance to take him if he wants. But we'll see.
We'll see.
All right. I do like to be considering. I mean, we definitely could go with the Sam Howell, Curtis Samuel late stack as well. Gallup is a tier above these other wide receivers from you from an upside.
Yep.
Don't want Tank. Take Gallup and run.
Sure. I like it.
All right. For our build right now, we are looking at a 1-4-6-1. Most likely, one more running back?
Yep. One more running back. And we could go 3, depending on what quarterbacks get to us.
I think so. We're pretty much 2 QB with Mark Andrews. We'll figure out who that late one is. Could be honestly anyone. If we get Kyler, we could go Trey McBride. But that kind of looks like then a 2-5-9-2, or maybe that's one. Maybe 3-5-8-2 makes the most sense.
2-5-9-2 or 3-5-8-2. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely 2 tight end though. What have you been thinking? Like if you don't get Andrews, you don't get Kelsey, you don't get Hawk, you don't get Pitts, Goddard, any of those guys, like what have you been thinking about these late round tight ends builds? Because
I'm very comfortable with just a late 3 tight end this year.
I think you can wait all till round 16, 17, 18 sometimes too.
A lot of times what I do is I grab Dawson Knox in the 15th, and then I grab 2 tight ends in 17th and 18th. But like, there's just so much value at the tight end position that is late. And like, I completely understand the, spike week aspects around having an elite tight end. But I also feel that like, if you go an elite tight end, other than Kelsey, maybe Hawkinson, I don't even think Andrews is bad. Like they are hurting your advance rate. And I think just the median outcome for them, and then you throw in the floor, like you can just get that much value at the last 3 rounds. And when you compare what you're drafting of running backs and wide receivers in the 17th and 18th, like you get a lot of zeros there, and you're just not really taking zeros. You don't have to take zeros at tight end in round 18. If you want to go with a rookie tight end that you're trying to make an upside bet, then yes, there's a chance you get that 0 tight end. But if you want to go Hunter Henry, if you want to go Noah Fant, like you're not getting zeros there barring an injury. And you can't say that for virtually any other position except maybe QB.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And I think this year there's so many guys.
Dashboy did it.
Yeah, he did do it. Wow.
Jalen Hurts, Kyler.
With Hurts.
With just the Connor aspect. All right, Chris. We see you. All right, let's start thinking about what we need to do backstacking for QBs.
Can you show QBs real quick?
Yeah. We still have to pick it.
Yeah, still pick it, which I'm fine with.
Yep.
It's not great. It's not terrible.
Tight end Higbee's gone. I was looking to see if we wanted to go with the Stafford Higbee.
Yeah. Then it's Howell. You want to go? I mean, we've got 7 receivers. I don't love any of the backs here. We could take Pickett.
We've got 6 wide receivers right now. We're thinking of having 8. MVS is probably.
You want to shoot for a Washington stack and take Samuel?
Okay. So Samuel's here. If we're going to do that, we're reaching on 2 different ADPs, but I think I'd rather get Pickett here.
Okay, let's do it.
And then Samuel at the next.
Sure.
And yes, it's a reach on both those players. But I don't know. You can't. Maybe Samuel could fall to us at 176.
Yeah. I don't love it, but we're kind of boxed in here. There's no backs. There's no backs that we're taking here. So
right now, I blame Dash Boy. James, if you're just tuning in, at the beginning of the show, we spent a decent amount of time talking about the Kansas City wide receiver position. So definitely rewind and catch up with that. But lots of good discussion there. So I don't want to rehash it too much. But yeah, MVS.
Schefter did say while we've been streaming that Tony will be back by week 1. So it does seem minor, but anything with Kadarius Toney, it's gonna be like the the dinner bell for fantasy Twitter collectively.
And it's these things that we've already had, like I don't even want to say back of our minds, like pretty much front of the mind, exactly. And then it's just like now right in front of your face.
Yep.
Okay.
Like I said, minus 1,000 for a Toney injury during training camp, so it hit.
Yeah, I mean, because
I'm not in love with it, but we're kind of boxed in. I mean, what's Howell's ADP up to now? Like
it's 197.
197.
Yeah. Okay. And as you said, we'll just go through the positions. Running backs could go Singletary here as a decent 5th. What do you think about that? Going Singletary here as our 5th and final running back.
I still kind of liked another Dolphin back later.
Okay. Let's grab Samuel.
We want 8 receivers too, so I feel pretty good about our backs, honestly, man. We do want one more. But
yeah, agreed.
this is a really long tier, I think, from like 150 to 180 at running back is kind of a pretty long tier with some interesting names.
I think it's fair. Talk me through Mostert versus Wilson.
I've been taking Wilson because he's the latest guy. You know, it's kind of like the old Patriots backfield, just take the cheapest guy. But Jeff Wilson projects as the top, at least, 1A or 1B in this backfield. He's going, 12, 15 picks later than Mostert. That's really my only case for him. Wilson, analytically speaking, is a good back, but so is Mostert. I think my biggest thing is just like I've really not been taking A-Chain, but I did like him for this team build though.
Yeah. So my thoughts on that Wilson versus Mostert, because it gets asked a lot because people are just looking for which one should I be clicking, and I think ADP definitely comes into play. For me, it is, even though Mostert's kind of old, he still has more of the weekly upside than Wilson that can happen from an efficiency and a lower kind of touches. I'm not expecting anyone to be a workhorse in this offense, barring multiple injuries. And so in that situation, I do think that Mostert can have that more, breaks the play, more in space running back. Wilson, if you look at his kind of bigger games, it's when he's the only running back in that offense. Someone else is already injured. So he seems like at this point in his career, he's a bit more volume dependent. And when you have both A-Chain and Mostert, maybe even another back, it's just harder for me to kind of imagine the world that has to happen for Wilson to kind of have that, this is really propelling me in the playoffs or in the regular season.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And at the end of the day, I mean, this Dolphins backfield it's not going to be like, the Eagles backfield where we've got three pieces, but all of them are going to score a lot of points. Like this backfield is not, there's going to be weeks where none of these guys are usable. Like it's going to be all Tyreek and Waddle or all Tyreek or all Waddle. So yeah, I'm with you. I mean, that's why, they have all been kind of thin ADP bets. I hear you on the upside argument. I think Jeff Wilson has a pretty strong touchdown upside argument. But yeah, Mostert definitely has big play appeal for sure.
Yeah. And it wasn't too long ago that we were literally rotating Miami backfield between Gaskin and
I know. So much better now.
Ahmad? Who was
Salvin Ahmed? Yeah, man. Dude.
Ahmed. Even
they brought in they had Kalen Ballage for a little bit too. It was gross. Now they've got
Patrick Laird even had a game or two.
The Laird. Shout out Pete Overzet. Yeah, man.
Patrick Laird, who is in my city right now, just came into Tampa for preseason.
Baby.
We are back on the clock. Singletary is still here. That is too much value in my mind to pass on.
Yeah, smash it. Yeah, I'm in. I've been taking, not to say I'm not taking Singletary at ADP, but yeah, I love it here.
Yeah, I just think that honestly, Singletary
176. Damn, that might be the latest I've seen him all year.
I mean, we were getting a half a round of value at 161 because he's 155. Then we fall. Even after we talked about him. Still worked.
Still worked. I do like Tyjae Spears and in that range too, but yeah, man, Singletary 176 is nice.
Okay. Looking back at our build, Tua, Pickett, I do think a third QB works for us. And this is one of those where you can kind of combine with what tight end, like if you want to go Mac Jones with the New England, if you want to go Bryce Young with the Hayden Hurst, even Michael Mayer, Jimmy G. I think you were going to say something though. Yeah,
that's what I was about to say is let's look at the quarterbacks one last time, if you don't mind.
Okay. I'm at least going to put some Howell up here, but yeah, Mac Jones, Jimmy G, Bryce Young is gone.
That's it.
Kind of what we're looking at.
We don't need to jump ADP on Howell.
So I hear you, but then
if we don't get him though,
it's getting ugly.
Yeah, that's it.
Like we may get locked out of like another starting QB.
Okay, I'm cool with it. I mean, we've got our 5 backs too, so I'm cool with it.
Yeah, and we have we got the Curtis Samuel for the situation. If I had confidence, Mac Jones would even fall back to us, but like,
yeah, we don't have any Patriots, so yeah, no. Let's take Howell.
Right. It would just.
I almost talked myself out of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, these are pretty crazy. DPJ,
Marvin Mims too, man.
Both falling. I mean, are either of those enough of a reason for us to wait on it? We do need one more wide receiver.
If we didn't have 7 good ones, then I'd say yes, but I think you're right taking Howell.
Denver is the bring back to Mike Williams. Cleveland, no Jets.
Yeah, we got too many Washington guys though to not go Hal.
Okay.
Yeah, damn, that's crazy. That I have not seen. This is a wild. Can you go to the board real quick?
Yeah, like how's this happening?
Why are these receivers falling here? Tannehill went at 170. What?
Running backs.
174.
So Gus Edwards above ADP, James Robinson, Leonard Fournette.
I didn't even notice the Robinson pick.
Me neither. Trying to figure out what else here. You've got a couple.
Oh, CEH went at like 14th round, 13th round.
Wow.
Damn. Yeah.
I'm not even seeing. There we go. Wow. 13th.
Right
the
there.
Same person. Penny is going. Let's look at this lineup. This is interesting. Okay. This is just. I thought it was going to be like a sharp, interesting, but I think it's just interesting.
Yeah, interesting in a not so interesting way.
I was this person's like really strong and they want to go for those not being drafted running backs. I get it. No, sorry. No. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, baby. It's a good day when you can stack up Washington with Sam Howell in the late rounds.
And 2 running backs.
Yep. It's a good day.
But I mean it. And so this is interesting. Also, one of those running backs is a very strong pass catcher in Gibson. One is not Robinson. But this is a team that I'm willing to make bets on late drafted teams that they become an average offense and it becomes very valuable to your team. Because right now, everything about this team is baked in that they're like like a bottom 5, bottom 10 offense. No running backs in the top 100. I guess Gibson's 98. QB's going 185, 197 is ADP. So like all they need to do is be an average offense and all those players are values across the board, even though they don't perfectly correlate in a 1-game situation.
Yeah, no, exactly. And in our situation, I've been taking a lot of mid-round quarterbacks that like Lawrence, Herbert, Watson, Dak tier. If we don't like this, we got Tua, who's kind of at the end of that tier for me. But if you don't, I love 3 quarterback builds. Like all the data suggests, especially if you don't have one after round 10, like take 3. Like it's a minus EV if you only take 2. It's minus EV massively if you only take 2 if you don't have any after round 10. So yeah, for our build, I think Howell makes a ton of sense. DPJ, man, what the hell? He's still sitting out there. Nobody did he like? Do I need to search for DPJ on Twitter? Is he alive right now? Like, what's going on?
Real talk. I'm going to real quick.
I'm right now. I got it up right now.
I mean, we can't not take him. We need it.
Yeah, take him. No, take him. I don't see anything. Hold on, real quick. I don't see anything. He's out there running around. I see a training camp video with him and Deshaun Watson. So.
Yep, I got that one with an eyes emoji. So that must be good.
All right.
Crazy.
Wild.
Yeah.
I mean, uncorrelated, I don't really give a shit at 200. That's crazy.
No, that's irrelevant. Yeah. I mean, you look at the other wide receivers. Yeah.
Yeah. It's Jalen Hyatt. I mean.
All right. Tight end to round this out. There's just so many options. Like I'm perfectly content with any of these. Hey, look, we can get some correlation for Cleveland with Tyler Conklin.
Like that.
We can go more Carolina, Jacksonville. We do not have any New England Buffalo, so we'll probably pass on that.
I have that. I have it ranked just like that with Conklin and Hurst, and then I like Mayer, but not he's 13. Yeah.
So I threw Noah Fan in here too because we have the Kenny Pickett, George Pickens, Seattle.
Conklin and Hurst just project so much better.
Okay,
there goes
Conklin. I'm gonna just throw Mike Gesicki in if all else fails. Okay, Gesicki just went. Chris over here going Waller, and then 2 late ones. Don't hate that.
Yeah, especially the 2 late ones he got. I've been drafting a ton of Michael Mayer.
Nice. Yeah, I'm a little. I'd say I'm less bullish on him, obviously, post-draft than pre-draft. But like what he was able to do at Notre Dame and literally be the entire offense, like, is very bullish for his ability to get on the field quickly and then have a major role, as well as what Vegas did the past couple of years when Waller was healthy. But
yeah, man,
Hooper though,
they're gonna go a ton of 12 personnel though. Like they will play a lot of 12. I just love tight ends that like fit Mayer's archetype, like extreme producers on good offenses in college that are good athletes but not great. Like those guys, give me those guys like 10 times out of 10 over, these projectable upside guys. Like I think Mayer's Mayor's such a good pick. And Austin Hooper's dusty. Like, that does not scare me at all. So Hurst or Fant?
Yeah, I mean,
right. I like it.
You mentioned her. I think Hurst projects a ton better than Fant.
Little mini stack with Sanders too. We're
still getting and the ETN bring back there. So
yeah, I like it.
I think that makes
solid
sense.
Team, man.
Let's lock that in, and give me some thoughts on this 3-5-8-2 build.
Yeah, I think we maybe messed up quarterback a little bit. Like overall, we did a great job stacking. Tua was definitely the right call there in that 8th round pick. Especially looking back on it now with some of these quarterbacks went. But yeah, man, backfield stack with Washington, you and I were talking about that, especially on teams where it's too obvious, clearly differently projected roles. You could take the same idea with the Eagles. You can go with Ken Gainwell and Penny. I've been doing that a ton in best ball drafts. Yeah, man, I think this is a really, really solid team. And I think our running backs ended up actually being a pretty strong point of the team. Honestly, I like that group.
Yeah, I like it. And the way that I kind of look at this is I want our running backs to be about average for this draft, given our draft capital, not voting any elite ones to it and only going 5. And I think we actually ended up with an above average group.
Yeah, I agree. Slightly above average. Yeah.
Yeah. Our wide receivers, in my opinion, are the strength, even though we didn't go, 5 or 6 in those first 7 rounds. We have Diggs and Waddle with the first 2.
Yeah. All the ADP followers, Williams and DPJ. I mean, I think that DPJ value might end up being the biggest one just for him specifically in BBM so far. It's 40 picks past ADP. So
makes me feel a lot better of okay, so we reached a little on Curtis Samuel. Okay.
Yeah.
But then it ended up slipping that DPJ.
Yeah. And getting we got Mike Williams 12 spots past ADP, something like that, 13, 11.
And those are early spots. Yeah, it is funny because we drafted Curtis Samuel 161, which is where DPJ basically should have been drafted and then waited 4 rounds.
Yeah, we have a pretty unique team too. Obviously the falling values will, help create uniqueness, but this is a very unique team. Yeah. With all the ADP values. I mean, we even got Hurst, 10 spots past ADP? What is that? Sorry, my eyes are terrible.
Yeah, about a round. Yeah.
Yeah,
because that was last round.
Yeah.
All right, this was awesome.
Cool.
I think we're live. I think we got a chance here. Should be fun to monitor throughout the season. But it is July 24th. That means a month and a half away from the season. You guys just released fantasy points data 2 weeks ago. Maybe there's a demo still going on, but give people what's going on with you, everything you've got going on for the rest of the summer. What can people check out?
Yeah, man. Fantasy Points data. You can hit it up at data.fantasypoints.com. You can check it out now with a free trial. We have the last 2 years of NFL data charted. Brett Whitefield and Chris Wecht. Those are the 2 guys, managing the team, charting team, and getting all of the data and analytics into the tools. We've spent literally the last 2 years building this thing in terms of development. And Justin, I mean, this is the coolest fantasy tools in the space. I mean, we've got any type of statistical split filter that you could want from a fantasy or betting perspective. We've got it. We've got, over-unders, betting splits. We've got personnel splits from, all different types of, angles. You can look at, quarterbacks off play action, quarterbacks when in a clean pocket, all those different types of stats. And, oh, by the way, for this year, it's only $50. So we're men of the people at Fantasy Points, trying to give it away, some actionable info. And really looking forward to the next couple of years as this, these tools start to get bigger and better. This is just the ground floor of Fantasy Points data. And, we're excited with how things are looking. So definitely try to get in now. And, like I said, free trial. There's no reason for you not to. Literally no reason. It's free.
And I'm waiting for best ball data to be on there too. I feel like that needs to be a fast follow add-on, but
that will be the next step. Chris Wecht is definitely, we've been talking a little bit about that. So that'll be the next step next year.
Nice. Awesome. Well, everyone check that out. For me, in case you didn't see the news, the Owners Club is coming back this season. And so we'll have a stream tomorrow with all of the details announcing all of that, but going to be a very fun time. Shoot Graham a follow on Twitter. Put a follow. If you're not following me, follow me on Twitter as well. That's where we release kind of all of our latest happenings. But chat, you were fantastic. Those who were in the draft with us, thank you for drafting with us. Thank you for letting DPJ fall to us all the way at pick 200. This was fun. It is Monday. Have a great rest of your week. We'll be back Thursday with another show. I'll see y'all later.